evening and welcome to Unapologetic, the UK podcast on politics, news and stuff from a right of centre viewpoint. We're down one man today. Jonathan's not with us, but we do still have Sam.
Hello.
And Susan.
Hello.
And Sam's been messing around with her video for about 15 minutes and still doesn't seem to be happy with it because she's still moving it around.
No, it's because I've made like a book tower, which has just collapsed. I've like made a book tower to be a phone holder, and then it's literally just the second I unmuted it, all collapsed.
Right. Helpful professional activity here at Unapologetic as ever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, guys, we this is our second one of our video podcasts. How did you feel? How did you feel about the first video podcast where we actually put our mugs up on the screen? What did you make of it, Susan?
I really liked it. I did enjoy it. I'm just a bit worried that my facial expressions say more than my words sometimes. So that's not always a good thing for everyone to see.
Okay. Say something without words, just with facial expressions now. Okay, yeah, I think I got that, yeah. And Sam, what did you make of it?
I think there was a worried expression.
No. What did you make of the first video podcast? I'm not asking you to use your ESP.
Well, I was a little bit worried in the last time when I was trying to be funny. I came across as a little bit stupid, and I don't think I really helped myself.
No.
In that last comment.
Definitely. It's not fair for anyone to say that you are not very clever. That would be a mean thing to say and not true.
No. You're very clever.
Okay, look, we got an agenda to get through here, guys. So, starting off, I wanted to talk about the coronavirus vaccine tests. Now, we've got a lot of coronavirus tonight, but as Sam said earlier on when we were saying there's a lot of coronavirus tonight, and she said, well, what else is in the news? And it's, we've got a couple of bits, but mostly it's coronavirus. So, first of all, an urgent appeal has been issued for volunteers to take part in the human trials of the potential coronavirus vaccine, with those who could take part offered up to £625. Teams at the University of Oxford and Imperial College London, that famous good at their stats college, are getting at least another 20 million of public money after making rapid progress in the hunt for the COVID-19 vaccine. Health Secretary Matt Hancock has said this. So my first question to you is, would you volunteer to be in the trials for the coronavirus vaccine for £625, Susan?
No, I really wouldn't. They're getting over 20 million in funding and they're giving some poor soul 600 quid to test the new vaccine out.
Hey, look, it costs a lot of money to run them lights in that Imperial... And they've got to keep making these graphs that never happen, haven't they? Sam, what do you make of it? £625? Well done?
Nah, not enough.
Not enough. But some people think it's enough.
How much did you do it for?
How much?
Yeah.
£5,000.
I was thinking about £5,000.
So the general
Because I need a new sofa, so buy a new sofa, and then pay a couple of bills off, and then I'd have some left over.
Well, I mean, you're technically both e-girls now, so you could ask people who watch the podcast to send you money, and they might do it. Apparently, that goes on a lot.
Send me money. Send money.
I don't think I might try too, but I can't imagine anyone sending me any cash.
I can imagine they're more than likely send us money to catch COVID rather than actually cure it.
How can they do it? We need like a donate link and stuff. Like we'll play Fortnite with you if you give us £1 and stuff.
No, I don't think we'll do that.
Sounds a little.
Also, why is your video all really blurry all of a sudden?
Whose?
Yours.
I don't know. Let's have a little look.
It looks like you're just waking up in the morning and you're seeing someone. And you're like,
this is like when in a movie when it's the dream sequence.
Yeah, it's like
I don't
that.
know why. That's very strange.
Or you've just walked out of court and we're not allowed to show your face.
I don't know. That's real weird.
That's just made it worse.
I don't know why it's gone like that. To be honest with you, how strange.
I think we should just leave it like that.
Hang on.
Wipe it and breathe on it.
I'm gonna restart it and see if it helps. There you go. Fixed. Hey, look, every technical problem that they throw at us, we can resolve on this show. It's just fantastic. Okay, so we say £5,000 each for the coronavirus tests, and that is worth that. I mean, because remember that test? I don't know if you do remember, but like 8 or 9 years ago, there was this public test, and it all hit the news because people got really, really sick, and then I think they all died. But you never really heard the end of it because the stories were escalating each week, and they were saying that more terrible things were happening to them, and then it all went quiet. I never really heard how it ended out, but it was pretty scary, and that could be you. £5,000 worth it?
Oh, let Sam go first.
What in the test? You mean?
Well, do you remember when the COVID thing first hit? They gave people £3,500 to be infected by COVID to see how it actually reacted in the body. I was up for that.
Yeah,
Being healthy, I thought
I'd do that
okay,
one.
that £3,500.
Yeah, I'd just go out and kind of, have a good hug with somebody who's got it, and then see how you fare. I suppose £3,500 sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, I was identifying friends that could get me some money.
So, all right, well, hopefully some people will take them up on it. £625 must mean something to people, enough for some people to want to do it, or they would be offering more, I suppose. But it does seem like an odd amount. Anyway, moving on.
I sort of miss Jonathan not being here because there's no one to just like have really long pauses and then say something random that doesn't really meet the conversation and then rustle loads of papers.
Yeah, I know. Hang on.
Well. There you go. Does that help?
In 1427, on the 17th of June. Okay, so moving on to agenda item.
Believe in a vaccine.
Susan. Moving on to agenda item 2. This one's from Guido Fawkes' website. The House of Commons' first virtual parliament ran relatively smoothly today, with only a few MPs losing connection mid-question. Wales proceedings didn't run quite as smoothly, with the Labour Health Minister, Vaughan Gething, I think that's how you say his name, swearing at a fellow member before being picked up when he left his microphone on. It appears Gething directed his fury at a fellow Labour AM, Jenny Rathbone, spitting out, "What the F is the matter with her?" And he didn't say F.
I love that.
So,
That's so cool.
I mean, people, let's face it, people act like politicians don't talk like everybody else, right? But they do talk like everybody else, and they just rein themselves in for meetings. And it's going to slip out sometimes, isn't it, Sam? What do you think?
Well, a similar thing has actually happened to me. So on Friday, I was in a group meeting. This is obviously a private meeting, but on Skype. And a friend phoned me, and I was talking to them on the phone. I think it might have been Susan, I'm not sure. Anyway, I muted my computer audio, so I couldn't hear them because I couldn't concentrate on what they were saying and Susan. So I muted my computer audio. And then I was kind of like realised I better listen to what they're saying because it could be important. So I was saying to Susan, I better unmute this. And I'm stuck in this bloody boring group meeting. And but accidentally unmuted my speaking microphone rather than unmuted the computer audio. So I was like, oh no, did anyone hear that? And like, from what I understand, a number of people heard it and just kind of never mentioned it. Except for like to be like, Sam, did you realise you said that? And I was like, oh yeah, that was a bit awkward. So I think it brightened a few people's day though, because it was quite funny.
It made me laugh.
Made quite a few people in the meeting laugh, I think, as well, actually. They were like, having fun, Sam? A bit bored, are you?
And the trouble is, of course, if everyone was good-natured, you could probably speak a bit more openly, with a little less cautiously, perhaps. But not everyone is good-natured, and you can normally count on somebody who's in a meeting making a big deal out of any mistake you made, can't you?
And we got to realise... Go on.
I was just going to say, I think in most private meetings, people are pretty reasonable, and in group meetings, so they tend to find it quite funny. But I think the problem is, with a lot of these like COVID reports, I've seen them all about 5 or 6 times, the same report. So when people are talking about them, I'm like, yeah, I've read this like 6 times now. There's nothing new you've got to add.
I know. It's like when you're talking. Sorry, Susan. It's like when you're talking to a member of the public, because viewers might know that we're actually all local councillors, and it's like when you're talking to a member of the public on Facebook, and they say they perhaps don't realise you're a councillor, and they'll say, well, you haven't seen the stats, and you want to say, you do not know how many times I've seen the stats. I mean, we get like 100 messages a day from
formats and every day,
different groups and organisations and formats, and they all say slightly different things to each other. Oh, amazing times. What were you going to say, Susan?
So all I was going to say is that people just need to be a bit understanding though, because when you're at home, you're a different person to what you are when you're out. We all wear a certain mask when we're at work. I don't swear when I'm at work, or I'm different. But when I come home, it's me. So if you're doing Skype messaging or something else, you're likely to let your real you slip in a little bit more.
It's like a safe space. I mean, like, this is my no-no square here. This is it. This whole area of house is my no-no square.
Oh, I see. I thought you were circling your head.
just your head.
Interesting. Not sure that's the message the no-no square people are trying to get across, to be honest.
I do that. No square.
You know the dance.
I was got to speak to you about this no-no square later, Susan, because I was thinking the no-no square only, if you say don't touch me there, this is my no-no square, and what about the places that aren't in the no-no square? Is that giving consent?
I think, to be fair, so what Sam's on about is in schools, the NSPCC have done the no touching rules, which is no, don't touch me there. This is my no square. So it's supposed to be a really nice thing. But ever since I sent it to Sam, she's not let it go.
Because I just couldn't believe it's an actual thing, and it is an actual thing.
It's like a proper thing. Like
Apparently
a proper thing. They do a dance.
Yeah, but apparently it came from like Sweden or Norway or something. It doesn't originate here.
I think it's American, because if you watch the video, it's got like quite a lot of Americanisms in it.
Well, when they did it at my daughter's school, she didn't say it for ages. And it was, I thought we was messing about, and I tickled her. She went, oh, no, don't touch me there. This is my no-no square. I was like, what? I tickled your waist.
She's got a strange square. That sounds like a no dodecahedron.
But she didn't even mention it. But it's a whole thing. I've even seen it on those little games that they play and stuff. Like people doing the robots that do the dancing and stuff. It's a thing. It's like an actual thing.
Yeah, it's
but you shouldn't have to. I kind of get the logic behind it. It's obviously good to try and teach people. This is an inappropriate place. Do not touch me. I'll tell an adult if you do. But you shouldn't really be touching anywhere on someone's body without asking them. To be fair, it's not really nice, is it? To be like.
But that's the whole point of it, isn't it? It's to make children aware that it is their body and they do get to say yes or no.
You've just absolutely ruined the boo joke, haven't you? Because now no one can do that. It's when you jump out and someone go boo. I mean, kids love that. You've ruined it now. They can be like, in a minute, I'm gonna jump out. You have to kind of just push them at the back, don't you? Boo, like that. You're hiding behind the door. They come in. You're like boo. So now any kid is going to have to say, right, I'm going to be behind the door. Is it okay if I leap out and boo you? And they'll be like, yeah, that's fine. It's not going to work, is it?
I think there's a slight difference between what you're saying and what we're advocating.
Okay, let's make that difference clear. Sam, the next agenda item is one that Sam wanted to do. She's going to introduce this. So, Sam, introduce away.
I've got to get my laptop because I've got to kind of read it from Guido Fawkes. So basically, Rachel Reeves, who is someone in the Labour Party, like how, I'm not
full of detail, well prepped.
Well prepped, yeah. And she has sent a letter to the government criticising PPE procurement and saying that what she insists is a helpful list of companies that are offering to help supply the national effort. And Guido Fawkes has basically headlined it, Rachel's Del Boy pre-suppliers. And the reason he said that is because he's actually looked into these offers that she's given to the government. And he's just basically saying Labour are a joke because she's offered a historical clothing company which are offering to make 175 gowns a week, which is basically less than one gown per hospital in the entire country. So they don't even get like one gown each.
Hang on, what are they going to do with historic gowns? Dress up like Anne Boleyn? Oh, my lord, I am about to come into the operating theatre. May I?
And then it says, they've also offered an events company in Surrey which offers supplying masks and respirators from China, but the company claims to provide the ultimate corporate day experience with delicious cuisine from sushi to sandwiches, hot and cold buffets, barbecue, breakfast, snacks and lunch, which sounds great, but there's been no mention of any kind of medical equipment at all. So she just seems like she's just trying to make a point about the government and failed.
Yeah, you laugh about this Labour person, but you don't know. Maybe you can put sushi in your nose or something to protect you from a virus. I mean, you're not being creative enough with your use of those snacks.
You would honestly think, though, in the midst of a pandemic, everyone would just pull together. Like there should be no point scoring against what people are doing. I know, I'm really innocent on this sort of stuff still, but I just think that why are we not just saying, right, I've got a good idea, or why has it always got to be about pulling something else down without actually coming up with a solution yourself? And a realistic solution. One gown per hospital a week is not really cutting it, is it?
One medieval gown.
No, it's,
One Anne Boleyn
And also,
gown.
the thing is, people are going on about the PPE, but there is a nationwide shortage and worldwide as well.
Well, that's what happens.
It's a massive thing that's everywhere.
Are we keeping you up, Sue?
Do you know what? I'm really tired today. I'm doing a new routine. I'm doing yoga in the morning.
Yoga?
Then work.
Or Yoda?
Yeah, I'm doing yoga.
Oh, I'm glad it's not
Yoda. I
yoga.
physically don't move.
Right.
And And then I'm going for a bike ride as well.
Right.
I'm like doing more activity than I do normally. It's just killed me the last 2 days.
Yoga
I'm
and a bike
okay,
ride.
but continue.
What
You do that
exercise?
downward dog and stuff.
No, I've only just started. It's with so that local, the leisure centre one that's free on YouTube. Val's lovely.
You get
Yeah.
free
You
yoga.
heard it here, guys. Wow.
This
Val
coronavirus
like
is brilliant.
super sweet.
Sam, what are you doing for your
It's
daily
so
exercise?
Nice. Oh, Sam.
I am lifting bags of shopping into a car and out of it
That's good.
for old people,
Yeah.
and that's probably about it, to be honest.
Okay.
There's a lot of walking around shops though and stuff.
Yeah. I'm doing
Yeah, but I don't
I'm
think it
doing
means
I'm doing
too much
1,000 press ups
exercise.
and 1,000 sit ups twice a day.
Are they in your mind?
Yeah. Well, it's the thought that counts.
Liar.
Okay, we're going to move on to agenda item 4. A new poll over 1,000 Press Gazette readers has found 70% of respondents don't believe the press is doing a good job of holding the government to account during the daily press conferences. That's pretty stark, especially when you bear in mind the Press Gazette readers are predominantly journalists and people who work in the news industry, so they're criticising themselves. I mean, are they right, or are they being a bit too harsh, Susan?
Well, do you know, I was watching this the other day and he gave his press conference and one of the little reporters sat there and said, so you can't give us a date when they can go back to school? And I thought, what a stupid question. You're right there. You can ask any question and you ask a stupid one. Of course they can't give you a date when they can go back to school. They're never going to give you a date until it's safe enough to do so. So stop asking them to be held accountable to dates that they can't fulfil. So I just thought it was a stupid thing. Absolute idiot.
But the intention isn't to get an answer, Susan. The intention is so that any answer they give can be turned into a nasty headline. So if they said, well, we're going to send them back to school in 3 weeks, they'd say, government risks school children's lives in 3 weeks. And if they'd have said, well, maybe we'll send them back in September, they'll say, no education for 6 months. And, any answer they give is a gotcha, isn't it? That's all the press want, all they care about.
And I think people have realised that now. There's an awful lot of negativity about the press at the moment, an awful lot of negativity.
And rightly so, although not enough of it is directed at the local press. But I digress. What do you think, Sam?
No, I agree. I just think that you're right. The press are just absolutely awful. They've been awful for many years, haven't they? And they got away with hacking people's phones. They've got away with all these lies they told about. Here's so many things the press have got away with. And anytime anyone criticises them, it's like, oh, we must have a free and fair press. And yeah, sure, we must. I'm not ever advocating, not having newspapers, but it's not acceptable for them to just be able to publish whatever trash they like and get away with it.
Mm.
No, I was reading an article in the Mail today, and the article in the Mail was making some assertion about coronavirus, I forget what, but there was a whole sections that were fundamentally wrong, that they didn't even know the rules they were aiming to criticise and bring into place. And I just looked at it and thought, if you can't get the most basic facts right, how can anyone trust anything you're saying?
I know, and then they like do an apology and they'll print it really small, and it's just not fair, really. The people, and once the thing is, once the news is out there, it's out there. It's very hard to get it back and say, oh, actually, no, we were wrong. This was a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And although the coronavirus thing is obviously a serious situation, unnecessary fear has been drummed up by the media not being prepared to tell the full facts or skewing it in such a way to create bigger drama, as if there isn't enough drama with the truth. Do they really need to have people so terrified? There's people absolutely convinced that if they walk out the door, they're going to catch something and die. And for the vast majority of normal people, that's not the case. But everything is dramaing it up to scare people, and it is so damaging.
Yeah.
Agree.
And the 5-year-old died. It was like 5-year-old babies died. 5-year-old child's died. I'm like, yes, that is terrible. It's absolutely awful that 5-year-olds died. But, it's just like one 5-year-old. They made out like this 5-year-old's dying every day of coronavirus.
All your 5-year-olds are in terrible danger. Exactly. Don't let them out. If you let your toddlers out, they're finished.
Yeah, and I'm not saying, of course, I feel really sorry for that child's family, and it's awful, and I wouldn't imagine it for anyone. But we can't also pretend that every single day 5-year-old children are dying of coronavirus, because they're just simply not.
No, it's a misreading, because the vast majority of victims, whilst there are always exceptions and sad ones, the majority of victims are older people who have pre-conditions, serious pre-health conditions. That is the vast majority of the victims, and it's doing people a disservice to pretend otherwise, because it makes them, not because, obviously they should all be careful, it can hurt anyone, but we shouldn't be terrifying the living daylights out of people, because that's got consequences too, hasn't it?
Well, the consequences we're seeing at social media at the moment, isn't it? Everyone's trying to shame everybody. Everyone wants the army brought in and lockdown, and everyone's an idiot for leaving the house, but they're all leaving the house because they're watching other people leave the house. But it's absolutely. I was shopping the other day, and I was like, oh God, I hope people don't challenge me, because I've got some crisps in my trolley along with my whole week's shopping, and you know, because I won't take the click and collect service, because I think they should be held back to the vulnerable lot. So I just think how people have got so nasty so quickly. It's not a pleasant atmosphere when you actually even do leave the house.
No.
Well, I have to say, today I noticed in the shops, the queues were, the last couple of days, the queues were better and the atmosphere was better.
Yeah, things have been easing off.
Today.
The roads, the papers are saying the roads are a bit busier, more people are out and about, and immediately this is going to set some of the hairs running, isn't it? People are going to be like, oh no! Yeah. But I actually think it's nice to see a bit of normality returning. People are still being careful, I think, but a bit of the fear is easing off, and I think that's actually healthy. Set common sense without fear is the way to go, I think.
Yeah, agree.
Anyway, look, we've got agenda item 5. A miniature donkey named Mambo, you don't know what this is going to be, do you? Is getting some online love in North Carolina, where a farm is getting in on the idea of having animals to spice up tedious virtual meetings during the coronavirus pandemic. Peace and Peas Farm will rent Mambo, the 8-year-old miniature donkey, and his friends to crash company conference calls. The Charlotte Observer reports this camera crowding donkey is like a pesky little brother that doesn't let anyone relax for too long. So the thing is, you're having a boring meeting with your, whatever committee you're on, or your business meeting, and then suddenly there's a camera picture of a doggy eoring or whatever in the side, breaks up the atmosphere a little bit. I mean, what do you think? Good idea? Bad idea?
Sam? When's the donkey arriving in this meeting?
Well, I'm not saying it. It's too easy. It's too easy.
It's you. You're the donkey.
Well,
good comeback, that Sam.
If we've got to have in Unapologetic, if we've got to have a farm animal take part, any preferences, Susan?
No, none. What? They're so first worldy in it to have a donkey come to your conference meeting. That is so
1990s.
So inappropriate. I'm gonna have one for FDC. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna have one of them.
I think. What do you think, Sam? You got a preference? I mean, I'd have a cow, I think, because I like cows. And I'd just sit there, it'd look pretty peaceful, nice, serene face, big eyes, it'd be like, moo, and it'd be great.
And you can drink its milk.
Well, not straight from the teats.
From that thing, and then...
That's enough. Well, I think then you could probably get that money, that pledges from your watchers if you get into that. I mean, that's probably the...
And you could eat it, lovely steak.
Oh, no, what? Live, you're just going to chow into it.
I had such a, not last night, but the night before, I had such a lovely ribeye steak.
I'm not taking any farmyard animal to where Sam is. I think it's too dangerous.
Well, apparently, companies can choose other farm animals they want to invite as guests on their video. According to the Farm Animals Meeting registration website, they include 3 horses, Heron, Zeus and Eddie, along with some chickens and a duck.
Oh, I'd eat a duck. I love duck. duck in wraps and hoisin sauce. Oh my God.
No, that's not. They don't just. It's not like a plate full of food. It's an animal. Oh. We could do that. I can have a plate full of food on the video.
Do you know what would be even better if they added like a lobster to this, and then we could have like a surf and turf going on, like a ribeye steak, and some lobster.
I haven't had ribeye in ages now.
I haven't had lobster in ages.
I know, right?
I had a takeaway tonight, like the first one in absolute ages.
No, you didn't. Because on the last video you talked about a takeaway you just had, and that was just a few days ago.
Steve.
These politicians just lie and lie.
All right, let's put it this way: it's been 2 in 5.5 weeks.
This is how bad we've become. Like, all we talk about is coronavirus and dinners. That is all we talk about. And everyone
I've
out
got
there is
That's
nothing
what
like,
anyone's got to talk about. No one's going anywhere. No one's seeing their friends. No one's like having any other news other than coronavirus. What else is there to talk about?
yeah, this is the highlight of some people's in the evening entertainment. Although I don't know, but we had like 3,000 views on the last one.
I've got nothing, mate. I've got nothing interesting going on in my life whatsoever. Like,
Me either.
all I've got is food and planning my tea. That's it.
Well, I guess we've pretty much come to the end of the agenda, so I think we're going to call it a night. So it's time to say goodnight, Susan.
Good night.
And good night, Sam. And I'm Steve, and we've been Unapologetic, the UK podcast on politics, news, and stuff.